Whoa. Oops. So good morning. Welcome back to What's the Word. I'm so excited. I got music playing on my phone. I needed some Jesus time. I've been really sad these past couple days because just mental things going on, a lot of things going on. We'll get into it. As you can see, we're in my room. We're all my stuffies. Lots and lots. Porcelain dolls, stuffies. Love it, love it, love it, love it. So we're in Exodus. I wanted to start with Exodus, and I just needed a little vent time because I have nobody else to talk to. And I'm tired of hurting. I'm tired of crying. So I wanted to, I've been praying with God. I've been spending a lot of time alone with Him. Um, just because of the pain that I'm going through between, my husband and my children. My two daughters had their babies, and I don't know where life is going to take me. Um, we recently read about uh, Jacob and Joseph, and he said, I didn't even know that I would see you again. I thought you were dead. And now here I am seeing kids, and I hope that's me one day that I will get to see uh, my grandbabies. Um, So I just wanted to get into Exodus and spend time. It's been a long time, and I feel like how you get sleep deprived. I'm Jesus deprived. I've been I've been Jesus deprived, and He's been working a lot of miracles in my life, a lot of good things. I had my first event last week or whatever week it was last week, Friday. And it went really well. It went really well. I was able to keep it stocked, and we sold out almost everything. So yeah, it was awesome. It was really, really awesome. So I just wanted to spend time with you guys and with my page because I'm really sad that, I don't know if it'll let me do another What's the Word page on Facebook. But I'm going to have to because, as some of you know, my Facebook got hacked because I don't know how or why. I'm strapped with a lot of things going on, so I knew something wasn't right, and I still fell for it, and it is what it is. There's not much you can do about it, right? So my brother just messaged me that I don't have to pick him up anymore, and I just feel like now is a good time to sit on my rocking chair and instead of crying in the kitchen or crying in my bed or crying alone, um, there's things popping up. I had to close it, and the antivirus thing was popping up. But yeah, so I just needed to see you guys. I needed to be in the Word of God. So it says, "Let my people go." Is Exodus is what Exodus is about. So Exodus is the gripping tale of people's liberation from slavery and their journey into the wilderness to meet with God. So Genesis. Genesis was in the beginning. So Genesis is in the beginning. The word Genesis means origins. Okay. So now we're on Exodus, let my people go. So we had the beginning, let my people go. Jacob's descendants, whom Joseph had brought to Egypt to avoid famine, were initially favored by Pharaoh, and they prospered. But after Joseph's death, a new king from a new dynasty who knew nothing of how Joseph had served Egypt and who feared the fast growing number of immigrants. Chapter 1, verses 8 through 10. made them slaves, and put them to work on major building projects. Their increasingly cruel treatment led them to cry out to God, who resolved in delivering them. So, how I like this. I don't like it, but I do, right? Because we had the Pharaoh. Hold on, who was it? After Joseph's death, a new king from a new dynasty who knew nothing of how Joseph had served Egypt. How many, like for me, that's what I was experiencing is that for me, my kids don't know what I've been through. I don't know what my mother's been through. We don't know, like, no matter how many stories we tell, we can't tell every story, right? We don't know every detail of our lives from babyhood until adulthood. Only us and God know that. Like, we we don't like we can't recall it. For me, anyways, I'm just saying we because it's me, I guess. I can't recall a lot of my memories in my whole life, like every single day for the last 39 years. I don't know. I can't recall every single memory, but you recall the big ones. The good ones, big ones, or the bad ones. Mostly for me, it used to be a lot of bad ones, but then I wanted to change that because who wants to remember the bad times, especially when they're bad, right? It wasn't any fun. I don't want to relive that. I want to relive the good ones. So I do my best to do that. So I like I don't like it, but I like it because it's relatable, right? So a new king from a new dynasty, a whole new place, a new king from a whole new place who did not know of Joseph, who was scared, right? That's why people in power do what they do is because they're scared. I'm just saying, it says it right here. He got scared, right? Who knew nothing of how Joseph served and who feared he was scared of the fast growing number of immigrants and made them slaves and put them to work. Their increasingly cruel treatment led them to cry out to God, who resolved to deliver them. Israel came to see the miraculous rescue that followed as the decisive event that transformed them from a diverse group of slaves into a nation with God as their defender and leader. That's us. This is us. This is when Israel became not just a place, but a people. We are Israel. We are together. Israel came to see the miraculous rescue that followed as the decisive event that transformed them from a diverse group of slaves into a nation with God as their defender and leader. Passover, the celebration of their deliverance. Passover, do we know what that is? When the angel of death passed over all the Israelites' doorways, we're going to get into it, but the angel of death. God sent the angel of death. So the celebration of their deliverance from death, became the Israelites' most important annual religious feast. And redemption, one of the most important concepts in the Bible. After rescuing the Israelites from Egypt, God provided for their every need in the wilderness. Despite their constant grumbling and at Mount Sinai, he established his covenant with them and gave them the law, the Ten Commandments. Ah! My back is hurting. That's why I'm sitting in this chair. But oh man, I'm having a bad back day. Oh, my sciatic's hurting. My legs hurting. I did my event and now it's broken me. So, what is it all about? The Exodus. What is Exodus all about? Exodus is between chapters 1 to 15 tell the story of the Hebrews, the Israelites in Egypt. We meet them engaged in hard labor, making bricks for Pharaoh's great building projects and suffering greatly. Bricks from straw, not regular bricks that we know, like from clay. They made it from straw. That's crazy. Um, but God heard their groaning and remembered his promise to Abraham about giving Canaan to his descendants and their possessions forever in Genesis 17:8. So he resolved to free them. Through a bush that seemed to burn, yet was not burnt up, God spoke to Moses while he was tending a flock near Mount Sinai, commissioning him to go to the Pharaoh and demand the Hebrews' release. Oh, good job. Home to check in, Peekaboo.
Hi.
Say hi.
Hi.
Not
Do we have any water?
water bottles, no.
Okay.
Noah, stay around here, please. It's almost time to go. It is almost time to go. After I'm done with this, we have to go. So he resolved to free them. Through the bush they seemed to burn, but did not burn them. God spoke to Moses while he was tending a flock near Mount Sinai, commissioning him to go to Pharaoh and demand the Hebrews' release. He revealed his personal name to him, Yahweh. I am who I am. Yahweh, I am who I am. Revealing God's name. That's why I think I like it is what it is. Because it is what it is. And God is, I am, I am. I am who I am. Right? A reluctant, I love you. A reluctant Moses went to Pharaoh with God's demands. Let my people go. Pharaoh, unwilling to lose his workforce, stubbornly resisted, but finally relented after God sent increasingly harsh plagues that eventually cost him the life of his own son. Deliverance, when it came swiftly. Deliverance from death, and it came swiftly. That's how it happens. Deliverance, when it came swiftly. On the night the Hebrews left Egypt, they celebrated the first Passover as God had commanded. While the angel of God passed over their homes, but killed all the firstborn Egyptian males. That very night, Pharaoh and the Egyptians urged them to leave, giving them silver, gold, and clothing. The Hebrews headed west, and Pharaoh close behind. When they found themselves trapped between the Red Sea and the pursuing Egyptians, God made a way through the water. Through the water. Water, man, water. Calling you the word water. The water. I like that there's somebody who said, what if God is water? He's both in us and around us. He's, the whole filling everything with water because everything needs water to live, right? Everybody needs water, the bread of life. And if you come to me, you thirst no more, right? Water, man, he parted the water and made a way, and they crossed over on dry land. But when Pharaoh and his armies attempted to do the same, they met a watery grave. I wish you knew the significance and what I feel when I read this. I wish I could explain it. I can't explain it either. Like happy tears. I promise you they're happy tears because God is amazing. God is great. God is good. And, God is great. They very great. In chapter 16 to 40, tell the story of the Hebrews' journey toward the promised land of Canaan. Avoiding the busy coastal road, they headed south toward Sinai, led by God in the form of a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. Can you imagine? Led by a cloud during the day and a pillar of fire at night. The story is dominated by their complaining and disobedience while God is there. God is there leading them, and they're complaining and disobeying. They even complained that life in Egypt wasn't so bad after all, but God still blessed them, miraculously providing manna and quail. Manna and quail, so bread and something like chicken, right? I don't know what a quail, some kind of bird, for them to eat, and making water, gosh, from a when they reached Mount Sinai, God made a covenant with them. Henceforth, they would be my own special treasure from among all the people on earth, my kingdom of priests, my holy nation, in Exodus 19, 5 through 6. God then gave his law to guide his people in this new relationship and gave them sacrifices as a means of maintaining the relationship. These sacrifices would be offered at a mobile sanctuary called the tabernacle. At a mobile sanctuary, right? Before Jesus was born, they had mobile sanctuaries. Means it's movable, called the tabernacle, which contained the Ark of the Covenant, the symbol of his intimate presence among them. What does this mean for us? It says Exodus introduces one of the Bible's most important themes: redemption. The Hebrews belonged to the Pharaoh who had enslaved them, but God claimed them for himself and shattered Pharaoh's hold on them. Can you imagine? But read that, man. Read it. Oh. The Hebrews belonged to Pharaoh who had enslaved them, but God claims them. He claims us. He claimed us as his own and shadowed the Pharaoh's hands over us. In doing so, God set himself against oppression in all its form and took the side of the weak and oppressed. God's action goes beyond the mere social and political sphere. God did not free the Israelites simply because they were oppressed, but so they could serve him, the living God. His command to Pharaoh was, "Let my people go, so they can worship me." I like that because what else are you supposed to worship? What else are you know what I mean? Like, and the fact that Pharaoh tried to, I don't know, he's a jealous God and he wants to be worshipped, you know, he created everything. And the fact that he doesn't want us to have the credit for anything because of God's will be done here on earth as it is here on earth as it is in heaven. Right? Mhm. His command to the Pharaoh was, "Let my people go so they can worship me." Exodus serves as a testimony to the great works of God, but it also gives a candid portrayal of human failure. In spite of the miracles, the people experienced, each new difficulty drove them into a crisis rather than to God. In spite of the miracles, this is where I'm struggling as human. This is where I struggle right now. This is where I'm struggling right now. In spite of the miracles the people experienced, each new difficulty drove them into a crisis rather than to God. This shows us that the things that enslave us are often within us. And their grip is not easily loosened. Sin, rather than Pharaoh, was the people's most stubborn adversity. It took one night to get them out of Egypt, but many years to get Egypt out of them. Through this portrayal of God's dealings with the people of Israel, we see his patience toward our short-sightedness. He respects our free will and allows us to bear the consequences of our action, but he doesn't leave it there. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that great news, right? He is still always there for us, making provision for our material and spiritual needs. Most importantly, our need for forgiveness. And his promise is never to withdraw his presence. However long it takes us to get this message that being his people is not simply about being forgiven and free. Rather, we are to become a part of the people who encounter with God. We are called to become part of a people whose encounter with God now changes everything. Our lifestyle, our service, and our sense of destiny. God changes you from the inside out. And people around you will see it. I promise you, people will see it. Even if they don't see it, you will see it. The overview is the story of Moses' early years and his call, and then Pharaoh's rejection. So the story of Moses' early years and his calls between chapters 1 and 4, and then Pharaoh's rejection of God's demand and the plagues that follow is 5 through 11. The institution of the Passover and the Hebrews' flight from Egypt from 12:13. The parting of the Red Sea is 13 to 15. God provides manna, quail, and water in the wilderness from 16 to 18. God makes a covenant with Israel, giving them laws to live by, including the Ten Commandments in chapter 19 through 24. God directs the people and makes a tent in which he will dwell in a special way. God directs the people to make a tent, the tabernacle, in which he will dwell in a special way. The people worship a gold calf, and Moses intercedes for them. The covenant renewed. The construction of the tabernacle. And that's it. And then we're on chapter 1, the Israelites in Egypt. And then we have the birth of Moses. Moses escapes to Midian. So we have the Nile, the Hebrews. Moses, the man who loved God's presence. The wilderness. Names and titles of God. That's a good one. Well, this was a good time to be with God. And yes, I cried some more. I told you I've been crying a lot. You can see it under my eyes. My eyes. Oh my gosh. But it's happy tears and mostly and sad tears because I miss my babies and I don't know I don't know. I don't know what the last 18 years were for. I don't. And I don't. What I do know is that God is my best friend. And God loves me and I love him and he uses everything for our good. He uses everything, even the broken. He's there for the broken and the sad and the widowed and the shattered. So I love you guys. I will see you back here for chapter 1. I'm gonna go eat some chow mein. I'm gonna make some homemade canned chow mein. And then I'm gonna go do things that we were supposed to go do. Hopefully, gonna go do stuff that we were supposed to do when we were leaving. So I love you. I'll see you back here. Thank you for spending time with me.